When are you resting? Welcome to Seeking God with Leah Klein, Health and Wholeness Coach. And our verse today is Exodus 34:21. 6 days you shall work, but on the seventh day you shall rest. In plowing time and in harvest you shall rest. So, is a day off optional? Not according to our verse and various other locations like Exodus 20. Um, and the repeat in Deuteronomy, and it's various locations in the Old Testament. It talks about day off. It talks about having a Sabbath rest. Now, so that's a command. It's one of the Ten Commandments. This is not really an option because it has to do with the way God created our bodies. Our bodies were not created to be able to go 24/7. They need downtime. And if we're constantly going, we don't have time to stop and actually connect with God in a deeper, more meaningful way. If we're so filling the space that, you know, God has to use a shoehorn to get into your life, that's probably the best, idea. We are all busy, but one of the interesting things that hit me about this particular verse, and I mean, yes, I've read this verse many times, but this was the first time I caught the second part of the verse. It's like, yep, seventh day, Sabbath, Genesis, God gave us the example, got it. In plowing time and in harvest, you shall rest. Think about what that meant. I mean, we don't largely live in a agricultural society. However, for the farmer, when they're plowing or when they're harvesting are their busiest times when they would be tempted to work 24/7 to try to get it done faster so that it doesn't get, rained on in the case of harvest. Um, And, they're trying to get things done. They're busy. And it's saying, even in plowing and harvest, stop, take a break. And so I don't care what your excuse is. I mean, I don't think you have a valid enough one to never take a break. It's just, it goes against the way God designed your body to be. And it doesn't mean that you don't sometimes have to take a day off on a different day. The early church, partially because they were still meeting, the Jews were still going to synagogue on Saturday. They started meeting on the Lord's Day, which is another way of saying Sunday. And we have carried on that tradition of that being our day off. And actually, kind of the idea of we're putting God first on the first day of the week instead of on the last day of the week. But I I have been fortunate, even though I have worked for more than one church, that I usually was not required to work on Sunday because I wasn't in the ministry end of things. I was in the keep everything running end of things at the church. So I was able to work normal work days and not necessarily have to, work on the weekends or on Sunday. But obviously, some of, the ministry staff end up working on Sundays. And usually they'll take a different day, like Monday frequently, as a day that they're not there because of not having really a rest day on Sunday, or at least half of the day certainly is not a rest day when they are preaching, leading worship, etc., whatever that may look like. Sometimes they're going to need to take some additional time somewhere else. And sometimes you're in a situation which I have tried to avoid, throughout my life, where you're having to work on a Sunday. I've done pretty well avoiding that contingency. I've usually worked places that were Monday through Friday kind of places, or something where it's like, hey, I'll work Saturday, but I really don't want to work Sunday. And where I have worked, they have been willing to work with that. But the idea behind some of this, besides just, okay, your body needs to rest, you need to connect with God so you know what He wants you to do. The other aspect is, are you trusting God enough to let go of control for one day? Are you trusting Him that in our agricultural thing that it's not going to rain on your harvest before you can get it in? Are you trusting God to provide for you the other 6 days so that you don't have to be actively, trying to make money on that day? And I will remind you that in the Exodus, when they had manna 6 days a week, they were given more on the 6th day. It was the only time they were allowed to take more, and the only time it would keep overnight. But God worked it so they did not have to go gather food on that day. And so there is other examples of, and it's something we all struggle with. I mean, I don't know that they ever really did the Sabbath year that they were supposed to, that every 7 years that they actually let their ground lay fallow, not planted. And not sure that that necessarily happened. I don't think the year of Jubilee, the 50th year necessarily happened, but both of those were, don't plant, don't, in other words, with the idea that this was kind of like in Joseph's time where you had the years of plenty, save up, and then you're not going to be, nothing's coming in, this year necessarily. So you had to plan ahead and put aside more so that you had some. So it's a recurring idea, and you have to trust that God is providing and that you put aside, what you need to, so that it's not necessary to work every single day of the week. And if you have to, take a separate day and actually spend some time with God on that day and work on getting a different job. Work on getting it to where you can be with the community of believers on that day, because that is a benefit to you of fellowship, communion, and everything else with other believers that you're missing if you're not there on Sunday. So I want to encourage you, ask God to show you how to rest in Him and how to trust Him, that He will take care of everything, that you don't need to check your phone, check your email 20 times a day on your day of rest. Because that's a whole other side note, is getting off electronics as much as possible, unless you're listening to sermons, and additional things like that. I still attend an in-person church, go there, every Sunday morning, whether I, pretty much feel like it or not. Uh, this last Sunday, I had a crap night's sleep the night before, was having trouble sleeping. I still went. I took a nap on Sunday afternoon, but I still went to be there. And then I'll listen to recordings of other, sermons that feed me doctrinally, that are sound, that build me up. And I will do that on Sunday. I used to just listen to TV on Sunday afternoons and, reruns ad nauseum, kind of thing. And I would not feel that rested afterwards. But when I spent deliberate time doing things, Bible study, listening to things that were about God, and doing things like that, napping if when necessary, then all of a sudden Sunday became restorative again. So bear that in mind. It's not just about not working, just side note. Uh, and if you're having trouble feeling his presence, let me show you why that may be happening and how to connect with him more deeply with my free ebook, Seeking God. And that's available at healthturnaroundcoaching.com/seeking-God. And that's in the show notes, the link. So if you didn't catch all that, don't worry about it. You can go click on it there. And I wanted to wrap up our time today with Near to the Heart of God, and which is a good reminder of just our rest is in God. And if you know it, feel free to sing along. And if you don't, feel free to just listen. There is a place of quiet rest near to the heart of God, a place where sin cannot molest, near to the heart of God. O Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God, hold us who wait before thee, near to the heart of God. There is a place of comfort sweet, near to the heart of God, a place where we our Savior meet, near to the heart of God. O Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God, hold us who wait before thee, near to the heart of God. There is a place of full release, near to the heart of God, a place where all is joy and peace, near to the heart of God. O Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God, hold us who wait before thee, near to the heart of God. I will see you next week with another verse. See you then.